You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon, welcome back. Today is Wednesday, 16th day of November, 2022. Thanks so much for joining us, whoever you are, wherever you are. We're just glad to have you right here, right now. We actually do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first live broadcast is our live training room, and that runs from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Eastern every trading day. Now, that particular broadcast is reserved for members only and those who are taking their 1-week free trial. If you've not yet taken your 1-week free trial, no credit card required, in just a few minutes, Michael will show you exactly how to go about taking your 1-week free trial. The purpose of the free trial is we put everything a member has at your disposal for 5 consecutive trading days. Platforms, indicators, live training room, one-on-one mentoring, everything. So that at the end of the free trial, you're able to make a well-informed, intelligent decision whether or not what we do is right for you. At 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break. We come back at 12 noon Eastern for this broadcast, which is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere. All you need to join the afternoon broadcast anywhere on planet Earth is an internet-connected device. Phone, tablet, PC, Mac. Point the browser to our YouTube channel, which is very easy to remember, youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, but we also archive every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,100 daily live broadcasts archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And for those new to the world of CFRN, there's no better way to get to know who we really are. Because you can't base who we really are based on just what we say today. No, you need to dig a little deeper. On that YouTube channel, you can scroll back 6 weeks, 6 months, a year, 2 years, even more. And that's where you'll find the thread of connectivity, the thread of continuity that runs through everything we do, everything we teach, every tool we provide. It's all there for you. Okay? So with that out of the way, let's open with a word of prayer, as we do. Now this week, we're talking about learning to wait on God. We've talked over the past month or so about some important topics. Faith, man's anxiety over money, God's view of money, fear. We spent 2 weeks on fear because it's one of the most important tools the enemy has. But everything we've talked about and everything we've learned comes down to this. We have to learn to wait on God. Because once we surrender every area of our life to Him, We're now running on His time frame, not our own. Today's scripture, James 1:17. I'm reading from the Message translation. So, my very dear friends, don't get thrown off course. Every desirable and beneficial gift comes out of heaven. The gifts are rivers of light cascading down from the Father of light. There is nothing deceitful in God, nothing two-faced, nothing fickle. He brought us to life using the true word, showing us off as the crown of all His creatures. Now, we're talking about waiting on God. Do you know who it is you're waiting for? Some might say, I'm hoping for an employer to notice my resume. So that means you're waiting for the employer. Another person might say, I'm waiting for a spouse, or I'm anticipating having a child. We tend to focus on the object of our desire rather than the provider. But really, no matter who or what the subject of your petitions, the one you're actually and ultimately waiting for is God. You're hoping He'll answer your prayers. You're expecting Him to supply the solution to your problems. You're awaiting His intervention. After all, the reality is, every good thing given and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights. It's the Lord Himself who provides all things for you. Waiting signifies an expectant endurance that's demonstrated by a directed, purposeful, active, and courageous attitude of prayer. That expectant endurance means we won't make a move without the Lord's guidance. And that first characteristic of godly prayer in waiting, being directed toward God, is what we'll take a look at today. Rather than concentrating on what we're waiting for, we'll focus on the Father who has the best plan for our lives. Ultimately, no matter what you're waiting for, you're better prepared and suited for it if you're centered on God. Why? Because when you focus on what you lack, it inspires despair in your heart. Now, there's ancient Indian lore, and it's probably not just Native American lore, but I'm sure spans the world. There's two wolves inside of each of us. Which one is going to grow and overpower the other? The one you feed the most. So, if there's a stack of bills on your desk that you don't know how to pay, you don't want to focus on the bills. You want to focus on the solution. And God is that solution. We tend to obsess over our own limitations, which reinforces the bondage within us. Remember, you sin when you try to meet your needs in your own way rather than the Lord's. So as you fixate on what you don't have, you enslave yourself more to the sin nature, which eventually leads to destruction. Romans 6:23. It's a disheartening and vicious cycle. But when you single-mindedly set your sights on God, you realize the incredible strength, wisdom, and power that are being employed on your behalf. You have confidence because the Lord knows and provides what's absolutely best for you. And because He's unaffected by the obstacles that limit and intimidate us, your reasons to fear disappear. Isaiah 41:10. Pray with me. Heavenly Father, we know that you are faithful. We know that if you make a promise, you will certainly keep it. Lord, don't let us miss this principle, because it's one of the most important lessons we can ever learn about our ability to wait on you. It's based completely on our understanding of who you are and the relationship we've built with you through your Son. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. Okay, moving along. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. We'll start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. The Dow is up 28 points. The NASDAQ is down 134. That's over 1%. S&P 500 is down 20. And the Russell 2000, our man of the street, down 28 points, 1.5%. So we have three of the major indices in the red. The Dow just barely hanging on. 28 points in the green, which for the Dow really isn't a lot. 0.08% to be exact. In the commodity basket, crude oil down $2.50, trading 84.42 last. That's a drop of almost 3%. Gold up 70 cents, trading 17.7750 last. Silver down 2 pennies, trading 21.49 last. In the Asian markets, at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 38 points. The Shanghai fell 14. The Hang Seng dropped 86. It's a pretty quiet and thin trade there. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 18. The DAX down 144, which is 1%. The CAC down 34. So that gave us a mixed day in Asia due to just 38 points from the Nikkei. It was definitely a red day for the UK. And at the moment, it is a mixed radio Wednesday here in the US of A. The Dow now positive by just 9 points. The other three indices deeply in the red. So with that, we'll go to Michael if he's ready and get a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room. When he's done, I'll come back. We'll look at the Logic 247 alerts, the concierge trade alerts, and at any point during the broadcast, if you have a question, all you have to do is type it in the question box and we'll be happy to answer it for you. And I just got a breaking headline across my screen. Biden administration warns of historically large increase in student loan defaults without debt forgiveness. When I come back, we'll talk about the strategy behind that promise that everybody knew wouldn't fly except the voters. So more of that later. But for now, Michael, I can see your screens, so take it away.
Okay, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 16th day of November, 2022. Now, if you've not taken a free trial with us, then go here to mytradingiq.com. Right here, it says sign up for your free 5-day training now. Now, 9:30 to 11:30 Eastern time. Free 5-day training. You click on that, you're going to be brought to this page right here. All right, just fill out this little form, and you're going to be sent all the information that you need to get into the room in the morning. Okay, that'll be all the information that you need to get into the room in the morning. The room starts at 9:30, goes 9:30 to 11:30 Eastern time. If you are going to go into the trial, you should go here and download the charting platform. All right, you can choose from whatever platform we have. Now, these are the platforms that we support. These are not the brokers that we are limited to. All right, these are the platforms that we support. TradingView by itself will support like 30, 40 different brokers. DT Pro, it's on the Gain. Gain is the FCM, the Futures Commission Merchant. There's like a dozen different brokers that you can use through that. All right, NinjaTrader, there are only 2 brokers you can use through that, but you are not limited in any way to one specific broker. But if you don't have a broker, we recommend DT Pro because that's what I use in the room. All right, you can also watch videos of me following all these rules. All right, these are the rules for the trades. You can watch videos of me following all those rules. All right, just want to put that right out there for everyone so you know. Now, the spreadsheet. We had kind of a slow day today. The markets weren't really great trading today. We did have some nice trades. Things at times were doing exactly what we thought they were going to do. I did stop out a couple of times in the beginning on the ES, and I'll get into it. I mean, the ES ended up being the place where I got the majority of the profit today, but you can see I did stop out a couple of times in various markets. But if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today's the 16th day of November, 2022. We lost 1 tick in crude. We ended up break even on gold and plus 61 on the ES. That put us at 752.5 on the morning session. Today, it took 20 minutes and 4 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $175 a contract, and we took a total of 23 trades this morning. Now, on the month, that puts us at $13,302 a contract. Now we are halfway through November. If you look down here at the calendar, we still have 2 complete weeks left. Oh, wait a minute. We've got a holiday this month, don't we? We do. Well, we still have 2 complete weeks left. Oh, wait, the holiday's next week, isn't it? Anyway, well, we have almost 2 complete weeks left in the month of November. So we'll see how we end up. Anyway, on the month now, we're at 13,302. Could you guys hear that light bulb come on? We have a holiday this week. I mean, this month. I totally forgot about it. That's over 12 trading days, averaging $1,108 per contract per 2-hour trading day. On the year, now we've got our goal for the day on 218 of 218 possible days, so every day. And we've gone 279 days since our last negative day in the room. On the year, that puts us at $221,131, averaging $1,014 per contract per 2-hour business day. Now, if you were to quit trading when you get your goal for the day, and you were to add 1 contract per month, you'd have only had to work 35.4 hours so far this year, and you would have averaged $4,769 per hour. Okay, $47.69 per hour. All right, let's get into the trades. We'll just start out with gold and work our way across. Now, on gold, our first trade was right here. We missed this one, then we grabbed 10 ticks on this. You can see it went down, did what we thought it was going to do. Didn't continue down these other numbers, and it turned around. Came over here, and right in here, it was a blue off a blue. I took that, and I stopped out to the tick. Now, it did go enough to move my stop to break even, but my entry wasn't the best, so I ended up stopping out on that one. The best I would have gotten would be a break even, but going all the way over here, it would have stopped me out if I didn't move it to break even somewhere in here. It would have definitely stopped me out to the tick again in here. Now, this was the moment in time, and during the moment in time, we really didn't know what to do. Gold was not giving us anything, but I thought, based on a larger time frame, that it was going to go up to this level, and it gave a couple of trade setups on the way up to that level. Right then, once we finished the moment in time, we got in here. It gave 1 long trade right in here that I missed. That went up to this level. That was you were able to see that, and that was it for the gold. We really didn't get a lot of opportunity. during the break, it looks like if I drew a trend line, I'm going to draw one trend line right here just to get a feel for it. Right there. No, not right there. Right there. Okay, right there is where you would have been shorting 77.8, and that ran all the way down to 76.4 for a good 77.8 to 76.4 for 14 ticks, $140 a contract. The down close on this bar right here would be another short trade right now on the gold. Now, yesterday, in this part of the meeting yesterday, or this part of the day, we were able to put a couple of trades on the ES yesterday that worked out. I'm trying to put this one on right now on the gold, and I have not filled as of yet. If it does fill, I'll let you know, and I'll tell you how it works out. Okay, so here on the crude oil, now it's crude. We started out here with crude. We had a break even right here. Still not filled on that gold trade, by the way. We had a break even right there on that first trade. And the next trade on crude was right here. We picked up 6 ticks there. Then we stopped out. That put us at -4. All right. We got into this area right here, which was our moment in time. Now, I didn't know what it was going to do in here for the moment in time. The way it was looking, it was this bar right here that we were on. I thought that it was going to go up to here. And if it did go up to there, I thought it was going to go in 2 legs. I thought it was going to go up to here and then consolidate a little bit and then go up to here. So go up to here, give us a pullback, and then go up to there. And that's pretty much exactly what it did. However, it did not give us a trade setup. Okay, it did not give us a trade setup in here. So you wouldn't have been able to do the first leg or the second leg. The way it came together, you wouldn't have been able to do either leg. It did manage to go up and do both of those things, but there were no trade setups to take advantage of that. Right, that was during the moment of time. So at that point, at this point, we were at -4 ticks, I believe. Yes, we're at -4 ticks. Our next trade was right in here, and that was +12. So that got us to +8 overall. Then somewhere in here, we had another +4. And then we stopped out. So we went from +8 to +2. No, wait, there's something missing here. Went from +8 to +12 to +18, +35. So we stopped out, and you went from -4. Hang on. I gotta figure out what this. Something happened in here where we stopped out, and we went down. Anyway, what I show on my notes is we went from -10 to +6 to -4. So that's what this would have been. This would have been we went back down to -4. And then from -4 we went to +8. That's where we went 12 ticks into profit, somewhere in there. And then we went. Oh, sorry, that's the ES. I'm looking at the wrong thing. That's why it doesn't make any sense to me. Okay. I was looking at the wrong one. All right, so we had break even, then we had +6, then we stopped out, went to -4, then we did all that with no trades. We went from -4 to +4, so we had +8 right there. Then we stopped out right here, and that put us down. Okay, this is where I made a mistake. We went down. We went to -4, but we should have went to -6, and then we got +2 there. That should have put us to -4, and then we got +1 there. That should have put us to -3. So I'm off by two ticks. Right, but all the trades are right. That makes sense now. Anyway, then we got into the break. So I'll have to fix that. We're at -3, not at -1. Let me fix that here and right here, and it all makes sense in the future. During the break, there was nothing that you could do all through here. This, I said, if it breaks down from here, if it doesn't continue to move up right here and it breaks down, this is the spot that it should break down through. I had drawn this line in here, way back here, and you can see it hit that to the tick right over here. So it did break down into there, but it just didn't give you any trade setups on the short side. It gave you one long trade right here. Okay, and this looks like it would have been a red off a red right there. That would have been just enough to go to break even. Or not, just enough to stop you out. Anyway, that was crude oil. All right, so I got to fix the totals when I get back to the spreadsheet here in a minute. Now the ES was, well, it was interesting today. Okay, it was challenging and it was interesting. Right in here, we started out right inside. This is a weekly trading zone that we're in here. I didn't realize it, but if you go to the 30-minute, you can see it was a weekly trading zone in here. The ES was giving us some range numbers here, and it was staying within those range numbers, making it kind of difficult to trade. We stopped out here -10 for our first trade. I wanted to wait until it got out of the range, which it did down here. We got a break even on that one, and then we picked up from -10, we went to +6. So we had a 16 tick trade right there. Then we stopped out right there, went from +6 to -4. Then we had a break even, and it went from -4 to +8. So we had a 12 tick trade right there that was red off for red. And then we had -4 to +8. Then we had +8 to +12. So there's somewhere in here, there's a 4 tick trade that's missing, but we went from +8 to +12, and +12 to +18. So we had, that's probably a 4 tick. Then maybe that was the 4 tick. This is the 4 tick right here. This was the 12 tick. This is a 4 tick. At this point, we're at +12. Then we went here, we got 6 to go to +18. Then we had the moment in time, and in the moment in time, it really wasn't giving us a lot of information again. I thought it was going to go up to this level, possibly up to the zone, and then pull back down. That's what I thought it was going to do. And it did do all that. It just didn't give us any trade setups. Once we started trading again, we were in here and we were at +18 right here. We picked up 17 ticks to get us to 35. And then from 35, we had 4 ticks to get us to 39. Then 2 ticks to get us to 41. Then 16 ticks to get us to 57. And then 4 ticks to get us to 61. Okay, and that was how our morning went with the ES. So we had some nice trades on a 17 tick, 16 tick, a 12 tick, an 8 tick, another 12 tick, I think. It was giving pretty good numbers, and it was going to the numbers once it got moving. It did do a lot of sideways action today, and you can see during the break, there's a blue off a blue right here that really didn't go very far, went about 6 ticks. Another blue off a blue here, same thing, about 6 ticks. Another blue off a blue right here that didn't go anywhere. A red off a red right here that worked out pretty well. Red off a red right here that worked out well, and blue off a blue right here that was just working still, which gave about 6 ticks. So not a lot of follow through on most of the trades today. And it's been hovering around in between these weekly trading zones right here all morning. Okay, that has been our issue. These zones that has been in between all morning. I was kind of joking this morning about there being 20 points between these two ranges. Now, that used to be 2 days worth of range, and now it can happen in no time. Well, it happened again and again and again today, staying in between that range. So that is how our morning went today. Now let me fix this, because on the crude oil, I was actually -3 ticks. -3 ticks. Okay. That's going to update all the other numbers. So today is the 16th day of November, 2022. We're -3 on crude, +61 on the ES, and break even on the gold. That put us at 732.5 on the morning session. Today, it took 20 minutes and 4 trades to get to the goal for the day. That brought up $175 a contract, and we took a total of 23 trades. So on a month now, we're $13,282. That's over 12 trading days, averaging $1,106 per contract per 2-hour business day. On the year, we've gotten our goal in 218 out of 218 days, and that's days that I traded. All right, there were a couple more business days in there during the year. I did manage to take a couple of days off. That puts us at $279. I'm not sorry, $279. 279 consecutive business days since my last negative day in the room. On the year, we're at $221,111. So 218 days, averaging $1,014 per contract per 2-hour business day. Now, if you were to quit trading when you get your goal for the day, and your goal is only to make $100 profit for each contract that you trade, not meaning gold, crude, and oil, but not gold, crude, and the ES, meaning altogether $100 profit per contract. Right now, you'd be trading 11 contracts, and you would have only had to work 35.4 hours so far this year. Right, and you would have averaged $4,769 per hour. Now, that does not mean that you got to sit down and work 1 straight hour and get $4,769. The idea is to not sit down and have to work 1 straight hour. So far this month, we worked just over 2 hours, 122 minutes. And with 11 contracts during those 2 hours, you would have earned $16,362.50 gross, right? With 11 contracts, quitting when you got your goal for the day every day. So that works out to a little over $8,000 an hour. But we're doing it, the average on the year, okay? So you start out here, it was like $800 an hour at the beginning of the year. And now, after 10 solid months, and we're halfway through our 11th month, you can see how the numbers go when you just add a contract a month. It is, I mean, it's almost, well, it's just about perfect right here. It's about $800 a month, and now it's about $800 an hour. And now adding 10 more contracts, it is 10 times as much. The math just works. We are now at about $8,000 an hour. Okay. All right. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to, go here to mytradingiq.com, and right here it says sign up for your free 5-day training now, 9:30 to 11:30 Eastern time. You can sign up anytime you want and get ready for the next business day. All right, click on that. You're going to be brought to this page. Fill out this little form and you'll be sent the link to get into that session. Start the trial as soon as you do that. Well, not as soon as you do it. The next business day that the trial is available is when you start it. Okay, and you get 5 consecutive business days with the trial. All right, that's 5 consecutive business days. So if you start on Friday, it ends on Thursday. All right, and that's it, guys. With that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Wayne, if you are ready.
Well, I'm ready, but I gotta admit, it's not as fabulous as it once was. Phoenix, based on our election results. But
yeah,
what you gonna do? I did all I could do. I voted. Yeah.
I know. That's all you can do. You got everybody you know to go and vote. Everybody that could vote, and sadly, they still had issues with their ballots.
Okay, recap of the recap.
Today it took 20 minutes and 4 trades to get to $175 per contract. 20 minutes and 4 trades.
Now, if you had stopped after one trade because you got stopped out or whatever the case might be, you would not have the same results as you had today, would you?
That is correct. I would not have had the same results. It would have been minus 10 ticks.
Guys, because we trade, we understand that, you know, getting stopped out, especially on your first trade of the day, feels like a billy goat kicked you in the gut. This is why it's so important that you learn to separate your emotions from what you actually do on your trading platform. There's no room for emotions there. Well, leave them outside your office door. When you're done trading for the day with a clear head, they'll still be waiting for you, and you can deal with them then. One thing I do know is, although money doesn't buy happiness, many of the problems that we face in life are because of money or a lack of money. And if you have more jingle in your pocket, then some of those problems waiting for you outside your door don't seem quite so big. So, anyway, good job, Michael.
Thank you.
As always. We keep going. Okay, guys, I got some headlines I want to share with you, but real quick, I want to throw down the Logic 247 recap. Logic 247 is our 24/7 around the clock Emini alert service, which includes crude, gold, silver, the euro, and bonds. We launched this service 224 weeks ago. Since then, we've issued over 12,400 individual handcrafted alerts. And on average, over 224 weeks, 20% of those have been stopped out based on not risking more than $300 per contract, per trade, less when possible, based on market structure and a very simple 3-step process we teach all of our passport holders. This week, since the market opened Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we've already issued 61 alerts. 12 never triggered. We're still waiting on the outcome of 8. So we've had 42 actionable alerts, of which 11 or 26% would have been stopped out based on that maximum $300 risk profile that I just explained. So when we say we've averaged 20% or less over the last 224 weeks, that means there's going to be days like today where the number shows 26%. So whatever the truth is, that's what we deliver. And I want to extend a special thank you to Valerie because, you know, I put the alerts out, but she really does the hard work coming behind me and recapping to make sure that everything is kosher. And she does an impeccable job. Her integrity is spotless. And I just wanted to know how much I appreciate it. So, here's where we stand on Logic 247. Okay? Now, I'm going to go over those headlines that I mentioned, and then I'm going to show you the concierge trade alerts, and then we're going to go over each and every individual market that we issue alerts for, as we do every day at this time on this afternoon broadcast. Now, these are not my words. These are the words of the Washington Times. Okay? The headline of their article, Biden's immoral, sleazy, vote-buying student debt forgiveness scheme. The Cato Institute has filed a lawsuit against the Department of Education, alleging President Biden's plans to erase student loans violates taxpayer rights. Absolutely correct. This is a cut, and I'm still reading their article. This is a cut and dry instance of Peter getting screwed to pay off Paul's debts. Why should those who've paid, worked hard to pay, or are still working hard to pay off student debt suffer from the laziness and whininess of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez look-alike losers? Or, as Cato's CEO, Peter Godler, put it, forcing taxpayers to pick up the tab for another person's college loan is bad policy. But in the case of President Biden's executive order, it is also illegal because neither President Biden nor the Department of Education has the power to cancel student loans without congressional authorization. So, just before the midterms, we get an executive order saying we're going to wipe out student debt. Now, he knew, I mean, he's the president. He understands the law to some degree. He knew that wasn't going to fly. But did it have the potential to sway a lot of votes to the other side of the aisle based on a promise that we knew wouldn't hold up under the light of day? I'll let you decide. Back to the article. Just this week, Team Biden opened its education department website doors for millions in America to apply for loan forgiveness of up to 10 grand for those who earn less than $125,000 per year, and up to $20,000 for those who are part of the Pell Grant Program. Those who are paying off debt from private lenders are excluded from the forgiveness program, but only because other entities have already filed lawsuits that would have convoluted the process of debt cancellation due to state tax policies. Now, 10 things you need to know today. President Trump has announced officially his 2024 presidential bid. which I have honestly mixed emotions about. No one who's a regular part of the CFRN family or has tuned into this broadcast each afternoon over the past many years knows that we did support President Trump while he was in office. We did not necessarily agree with everything he said. Well, we agree with most of what he said. We didn't always agree with the way that he said it. Okay? But that's history. My concern is that Ron DeSantis is also going to run for president, and President Trump has said some very disparaging things about a man who was what many would consider a friend just a few weeks ago. So I'll leave that part at that. Second thing you need to know today, NASA has launched Artemis 1 moon mission. I bet there's many in this audience who can remember where they were on the day that man first landed on the moon. I know where I was. I was in my grandmother's living room, and I was watching Dark Shadows, because I had one grandmother that would let me watch Dark Shadows and another grandmother that wouldn't let me watch it. I was at her house that day, and they preempted the Dark Shadows broadcast to show the actual lunar landing. So we're going back. Number 3. Russian-made missile hits Poland near Ukraine border, killing 2. This is a big deal because President Biden called an emergency meeting of G7 and NATO leaders. Biden said the trajectory made it unlikely the missile was fired from within Russia. Really? NATO leaders plan to meet today to discuss the strike in Poland. Poland is a NATO member, which came as Russia fired missiles at Kiev and other cities across Ukraine. Ukrainian President Zelensky called that apparent strike in Poland a very significant escalation of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. A senior U.S. intelligence official confirmed that Russian-made weapons had hit a NATO country. You mess with NATO, a NATO country, you mess with everybody that's a member of NATO. Last thing in the world we want is nuclear war. Okay? We want a de-escalation of everything that's happening in Ukraine, in Russia, in China. You know, perhaps because I'm a part of the, an offspring of the hippie counterculture. Now, can't we just give peace a chance? Not a rhetorical question. Just a dramatic pause so I can sip my coffee. Okay, number 4. House Republicans overwhelmingly voted Tuesday to nominate House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy to be the next Speaker of the House. The vote came as Republicans remained 1 seat shy of the 218 seats they need to claim a House majority after the party failed to benefit from the red wave GOP leaders had hoped for in last week's midterm elections. We're not going to go into the failed cameras and how it took, days upon days upon days to tabulate the votes. Well, you already know that. They are still expected to take a narrow House majority, but McCarthy said Republicans could have won bigger if they had nominated stronger candidates in some of the top of the ticket governor and Senate races. Senator Rick Scott, who is chair of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, formally challenged Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell to lead the party in the Senate, exposing a long, simmering rift. And while this is not one of the top 10, it's important to mention, and I posted this in the Breeze channel in Telegram today. The head of FTX, the crypto exchange that blew up and went bankrupt, the head of that exchange donated $38 million to the midterm elections. He claimed that they were bipartisan donations. However, the facts don't support that. The facts support that all, if not all, almost all, did go to the Democratic Party, which does not make it a bipartisan donation. And now, if you had anything in the FTX exchange, you know the problem you're dealing with. So, anyway, back to the 10 things. Number 5, Georgia judge blocks the state's 6-week abortion ban. Now, I grew up in the Deep South. We were not only very conservative as I grew up, we were racist. Or, I don't want to say we. It was a racist state. And I'm sorry for that. Although, I've been colorblind my whole life. One of my best friends in elementary school had a different color skin than I did. So, it is one of the reasons that when I joined the Navy at the age of 17 and left Georgia to go see the world, I've only been back for the occasional visit. Now that all my family has passed, I got no reason to go back. So, anyway, the law which bans abortion once fetal cardiac activity can be detected prohibited most abortions about 6 weeks into pregnancy, before many women even knew they were pregnant. The ruling restored earlier regulations making abortion legal in the state up to about 22 weeks. Fulton County Superior Judge Robert McBurney agreed with lawyers for abortion rights activists who argued the law should never have been enforced because the Roe v. Wade decision protecting abortion rights was in effect when it was passed in 2019. Now, honestly, and I'm no constitutional scholar or any of that, but I didn't know that just small town judges, right, had the ability to overrule the Supreme Court. I mean, it is called the Supreme Court for a reason. So, I'm a little confused by all of this. The Georgia Attorney General's office said the state has filed an appeal. Number 6, things are tough at home, right? Gas costs more, groceries cost more. If you have a variable rate loan on your car, your HELOC, even your mortgage, a $100,000 loan a few months ago had a $1,200 a month payment. That same loan now, thanks to the Fed, has an almost $1,600 payment. That's a tax. I don't care what they call it. It's a tax on the American people and on the American taxpayer. And if that weren't enough, Biden has now asked Congress for $37.7 billion in Ukraine aid. Another $37.7 billion in assistance for Ukraine as it fights Russia's invasion. What about the invasion at our southern border? Oh, there is no such thing. That's a fantasy. The other party has just made that up. I've been there. I've seen the videos. It's not fiction, it's not a fantasy, it's a reality. That $37.7 billion should be going to our southern border. Now, I want nothing but the best for the people of Ukraine. But even the Bible tells us that, while we're to be generous and charitable, charity begins at home. Okay? You got to take care of your own family, your own household, before you step out and start helping others less fortunate. And we have failed to do that. The U.S. has been sending Ukraine aid under a $40 billion bill Biden signed 6 months ago. And now we want another 37.7 billion. That's B as in billion. Yeah. The judge, U.S. District Judge Emmett Sullivan, in the District of Columbia on Tuesday struck down a public health policy known as Title 42 that had allowed U.S. border officials to quickly expel migrants to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Sullivan said the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention order, which denied people access to the asylum process, was arbitrary and capricious. The Trump administration established the policy, but the Biden administration had kept it in place. The American Civil Liberties Union has sued on behalf of migrants who said the policy violated asylum laws and sent asylum seekers back to places where they faced extreme danger. Well, yes, there are some people fleeing countries where they are facing danger. But the majority are single males carrying deadly fentanyl, deadly cocaine laced with fentanyl, deadly heroin laced with fentanyl. In the last year alone in America, more people have died from fentanyl overdose than all the American soldiers who gave their life in the Vietnam War. And what are we doing about it? Absolutely nothing. U.S. stocks jumped on Tuesday after fresh data showed that supplier price increases slowed in October. The producer price index increased by 8% on an annual basis, down from 8.4% in September and from March's 11.7% pace. The news boosted hopes that Federal Reserve interest rate hikes were starting to bring down the highest inflation in 40 years. Well, you've seen the chart today, and you'll be seeing it again here in a few minutes, so you can make up your own mind. The judge in Harvey Weinstein's Los Angeles trial on Tuesday dropped 4 of the 11 sexual assault charges that the disgraced movie producer faces. The change came after prosecutors said they could not move forward with the charges involving one of the accusers, identified in the indictment as Jane Doe number 5. The LA County District Attorney's Office did not explain the change. That would be the LA County District Attorney who refuses to prosecute criminals or releases them with no cash bail. Weinstein has pleaded not guilty to the remaining charges, which include 2 counts of rape and 5 counts of sexual assault. Weinstein is already serving a 23-year prison sentence from a New York conviction, so chances of him ever seeing the light of day based upon his age and health is pretty slim. But yet, tax dollars are being used to fund this fight. See, sometimes we just don't think. And number 10, Beyonce led the 2023 Grammy Awards nominations with 9 nods, including several of the most coveted honors. Pop star's Renaissance is up for Album of the Year. Her #1 hit Break My Soul is up for Song and Record of the Year. Her other nominations include 3 in the R&B categories. Beyonce's latest nominations brought her career total to, are you ready for this? 88. tying her for the most ever with her husband, Jay-Z, who added 5 to his total this year. To think about that power couple, holy mackerel, said Recording Academy President Harvey Mason. The list of nominees, which was announced yesterday, also included Kendrick Lamar, who was up for 8 awards, including Album, Record, and Song of the Year. And that's all the news I have to share on this 16th day of November, 2022. So we already covered the Logic 247 alerts. Now I'm going to bring up the Concierge Trade Alerts. That is our original alert service. Now, the Logic alerts come out around the clock from Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern, and they are based on current price action. The Concierge Trade Alerts are based on historic price action. And when historic price action meets current price action, that's where you'll find some of your best high probability, low risk trade opportunities. Last night the CTAs came out at 6:20 p.m. Eastern. Now you might trade any one of these markets or a combination of these markets, but we'll use the ES as an example. When this report is published, for those who are allowed to see it, that's all of our members and those on the trial, you should immediately go to the 30-minute chart of the markets you actually trade and note where price is at this point in time. Then draw a line in the sand at 40.13 and draw a line in the sand at 39.82. You'll see my lines in the sand here in just a few minutes. Now, from 6:20 p.m. forward, price is in the middle of these two numbers. If it starts trending up towards 40.13, that's bullish. Our strategy will look for opportunities to be long the market. If price starts trending down towards 39.82, that's bearish. So our strategy will look for opportunities to be short the market. In either case, that's where you use Logic 247 and everything you learn in the live training room every trading day to yourself find opportunities to be long or short the market. Our goal is for you to become a self-sufficient trader. You don't want to spend the rest of your life depending upon somebody else to tell you when to get in and when to get out. You want to gather that information from the market itself, from the chart in front of you. So our goal is to teach you how to read the chart, read the indicators, okay? So the alerts, okay, themselves were not created for you to be able to just trade them and not have to learn how to trade. I know some people do. Shame on them, because they're missing an incredible opportunity to actually learn how to trade. I mean, a monkey can copy trades, okay? What's critical is that you learn how to find these windows of opportunity yourself. So the alerts are a training aid. You see those 2 hours in the live training room each day? That's just 2 hours out of 24 hours that CFRN operates round the clock, 365 days a year. If you just go to the live training room, it's like you're peering through a picket fence. You can only see a small sliver of what's going on. You have to take advantage of the afternoon broadcast, the Logic alerts, the Concierge Trade alerts, and the one-on-one mentoring sessions, okay? That's how you learn to become a self-sufficient trader. Now we're going to go to the chart, so if you want to make a screenshot, if you don't have access to these numbers, keep in mind they came out at 6:20 p.m. Eastern. We'll start with the daily chart as we do each and every day. Why do we do that? Well, I tell you every day, but maybe you weren't here yesterday. Oh, and there was a question yesterday about these ATR numbers, okay? And let me go over it again real quick. This one, you see the 14 there, okay? Over the last 14 trading days, the average range from the low to the high of the S&P 500 E-mini has been 92 points. Down here, over the last 100 days, the range from the low to the high of the day of the session has been 84.5 points. Okay. All right. So we are looking at the daily chart of the S&P. Anything I say about this chart applies to all markets, all time frames, from 1 minute to monthly, from futures to individual stocks to crypto to forex. As you move from futures to stocks to crypto to forex, you don't have to change anything. You don't have to tweak any settings in the indicators, because price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. Never ending cycle. And how do we know this would potentially be resistance way back when we pegged this? Right there. Bearish cross. When a bearish cross leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area, it will most likely be resistance. And boy, was it. Same is true of a bullish cross. Okay? Alright, so where are we today? We got very close to the 50% fib retracement, reverse fib. Remember, this move started, this downtrend began March 29th. We had a very significant attempt here to break out of the downtrend, and when that thing failed, rest is history. This is the low of the current downtrend that began way back here, March 29th. Now on the daily chart, we've basically been trading sideways for the last 4 days. I used Fibonacci price extensions to connect this high to this low to this retracement high. Now, fibs are based on 14th century math. Fib extensions use the same math in a slightly different way. Instead of projecting where you'll find support or resistance, they project into the future where you may find support. In this case, because we're in a downtrend. You can look at those as targets, you can look at them as obstacles, whatever works. But the business plan and trading plan that you've written as you read the 2420 blueprint, that is provided to every CFRN passport holder. I highlighted this morning in the discussion group. Last night I highlighted that we had opened the session right at the step line. Okay, as price comes down to the step line, that's potential support. And then this morning I posted another chart that we had penetrated the step line. But now price has bounced back, and I'll show you why it bounced back in a minute. It has bounced back basically to the step line. Okay. If price were to continue lower, right here, the 38% reverse fib of the entire downtrend could be potential support. Below that is blue and climbing, and below that is the daily BBC. Either one of those can provide support for another leg to the upside. We have a leg, we have a retracement, we have a leg. But we've stalled out just shy of that 50% reverse fib. Okay? So we know, I just explained where support is from the daily chart, and we can clearly see where resistance is at this high, 40, 50, 75. I should try to adjust that. I didn't quite grab the top. That's pretty close. So the daily BBC is lined up right with that 24% fib extension. Okay, so that's definitely an area to expect support. You've got support at the low of the day, then the 38% reverse fib, then balloon climbing, then the daily BBC, which is at the 24% fib extension at the moment. Why do we start with the daily chart every day? None of us trade the daily chart. Most of us don't. But the institutions, the hedge funds, the Goldman Sachs of the world, the ones whose trading actually moves price, they look at daily, weekly, and monthly charts the way you and I look at 30-minute charts, 5-minute charts, tick charts, and range charts. Their accounts are denominated in hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars, while our accounts are typically denominated in thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. So they can afford a deeper drawdown than we can, and they can stay with a profitable position longer than you and I would probably be comfortable with. Okay? So we look at the daily chart to see what the big dogs are up to. Okay? Because we don't want to fight the people who move price. We want to have a clear understanding of what it is they're doing, what it is they're attempting to do, or what it is they're failing to do, so that as we go to our smaller time frames, we can trade with the wind at our back. Which is easier, swimming upstream or floating down the river? Now, that doesn't mean we only want to look for short positions. It simply means we want the greater wind at our back. So whether you trade the S&P or not, maybe you trade crude, gold, silver, Facebook, Google, Bitcoin, British pound. Look at the daily chart for a couple minutes before you sit down and start trading, so you know which way the institutional money is going. And right now, for the last 1, 2, 3, 4 days, it's been going sideways, which means there is indecision among the institutions. And so until the market finds clear direction, it makes it difficult for us to find clear direction. And we don't care if this thing takes off to the upside or plummets to the downside, because as futures traders, we can be long, short, long again, all in the same hour, if that is what the chart is telling us to do. So let's jump to the 30-minute chart of the ES. Remember, these are the numbers that were published last night at 6:20 p.m. Eastern. Right here is where the vertical line separates today, Wednesday, from Tuesday, from Monday. These weekly trading zones that you see were published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern for our members and those on the free trial. We've published these zones every week for our members since December 14th of 2009. And since we began publishing them, in what way have they changed? They haven't. Because they're built on the underlying principle of which markets operate. And that's what we're going to teach you in one-on-one mentoring sessions when you become a lifetime member. So, excuse me, price came out, or the market opened, we were below the BBC, we came down to the weekly trading zone. When price drops to a zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. When price pulls up to the BBC, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. So the market found resistance and it traded down to support. It actually touched the CTA number. Now, the CTAs are first a target, and then once penetrated, become entries. Okay, that's really important to remember, because there was lots of room to get your goal for the day on the way down to the zone and to the CTA number. We actually did dribble over the line just a wee bit, The low of this candle was 39.81. It's a point. Okay. Stuff like that we don't sweep under the carpet because it's the truth about trading. If you have found us, you're lucky because you actually get the truth about trading. We don't just show you the home runs, the ones we knock out of the park. We show you everything. We put on and take off trades live in real time, right in front of you. And all of the alerts are issued well ahead of them actually triggering, so that you have time to study the chart and understand why an alert is an alert. On the logic alert, you have an entry, an initial target that gives you your goal for the day, and in many cases a second, a third, even a fourth target, and then a final trade to target. Okay. Now, these are the concierge alerts. We already recapped, showed you the recap of the logic. These are the CTAs. So after finding support at the important price, important area, price got above the BBC, and it made a run to the upside from 40.13 to 40.15 3/4. So that's 2 3/4 points. Then it got back below and triggered again. This time 2 1/4 points. Back below, triggered again, 2 1/4 points. Back below, triggered again, 2 1/4 points. I may not have mentioned this yet today, but I mention it every day. Once an alert triggers, be it a logic or a concierge alert, there is a greater probability of it triggering multiple times than not triggering multiple times. So if you wake up in the morning and go, oh man, the CTA already triggered, fear not. The probabilities say it will trigger again. And with over 2,100 afternoon broadcasts archived on our YouTube channel, you can scroll back as far as you want to go and you'll see the same scenario repeating itself day after day after day after day. Now once price gets below the green line, the BBC, we anticipate lower prices. When price is above it, we anticipate higher prices. When it gets below it, we anticipate lower prices. Okay? So we got below it, got a bearish cross right there. And initially price came down to the zone, found support, actually touched the target. Okay, remember it's a target coming down till it gets penetrated. And on this candle it got penetrated and traveled all the way down to 39.72. That's 10 points, $50 a point, $500 per contract traded. And then price got back above the trigger. And where did it find resistance? At the zone. You see, when price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance. When price drops to a zone, we expect support. Okay? And so here price is rallying back up. It gets above the trigger, right? It's a trigger now because it's already been penetrated. We pull up to the zone where we find resistance. And then what happens? We drop all the way to the published target. From 39.82 to 39.68. Hey Alexa, what's 82 minus 68?
82 minus 68 is 14.
Alexa, what's 14 times 50?
14 times 50 is 700.
Okay, $700 per contract traded. And then price gets back above the trigger, drops again to 71.5. That's basically another $500. And then price gets back above the trigger and drops again. Come on. $39.75. 7 points, $50 a point, $350 per contract traded. When you become a passport holder, you become a passport holder because you want to learn a methodology and a strategy that has proved itself over many years. You want to get your hands on a set of indicators that have proved themselves over many years. However, it takes time to learn the strategy and to learn to properly read the indicators. That's why your 2420 blueprint that you're issued when you become a passport holder clearly instructs you that you must put together 10 consecutive days in a row where you reach your goal in 10 trades or less before you trade real money. Once you put together those 10 consecutive days in a row, the blueprint will give you the green light to go live with one contract. Now that you've earned the right to trade real money, your goal is to increase your account balance by $2,000. Once you accomplish that, the blueprint will give you the green light to add a second contract. The difference between the first and the second is huge. The first contract is funded with your startup capital, but the second contract is funded with profit you earned in the market. You should be dancing in the street on that day. Okay? The blueprint's going to let you know when it's time to add number 3, number 4, number 5, number 10, number 20. However, you only add one at a time when the blueprint tells you it's time, and you only add with profit you earned in the market. If you have the self-discipline to follow that formula, it makes it much more difficult to blow up another account. And if you're a brand new trader, it will help you not blow up your first account. You see, when you blow up an account, yes, there's financial damage. Most people open their account with, I don't know, $5 grand. We'll just use that as a round number. Okay, so you blow it up, you lose your $5 grand, so you restock your account, take another shot. But as long as you go down the same road, you're going to always end up in the same place. Same recipe will always bake the same cake. Do not allow yourself to fall into the definition of insanity, which is I can continue to do the same thing and get different results. Because as long as you go down that same path, you're going to end up in the same place. Okay? So a lot of people have a difficult time humbling themselves to trading in sim until they can put together 10 consecutive days in a row. Part of it has to do with humility. The other part has to do with fear. Fear they can't do it. They just want to pull the trigger and get lucky. What we do has nothing to do with luck. Now, of course, there's an element of luck in everything, but our strategy and our indicators are not based on luck in any way whatsoever. Some days the sun shines, and other days it's overcast and raining. Okay? But if you're able to exercise the patience and self-discipline to follow the formula, it doesn't guarantee you success, but it at least gives you a fighting chance. 9 out of 10 traders don't have a living, breathing teacher 2 hours a day putting on, taking off trades live in real time, explaining every move they make, every trade they take, and answering your questions, which you should have lots of, while you trade along in sim trying to get your 10 consecutive days. 9 out of 10 new traders don't have a business plan or a trading plan. They're two very different documents, and a successful trader has both. The 2420 blueprint walks you through the process of creating both of those documents. 9 out of 10 new traders don't even know what they are, much less have one. Okay? I know in the past you've bought stuff, okay? And you probably not only got the indicators, but you got a nice PDF and a hearty pat on the back. Best wishes. And then 3 months later, you try to contact whoever sold it, and they're not even around anymore. We've been here since 2005. Those of you in the audience, those of you who are part of the family, many of you have been with us since 2005. You've seen me grow and struggle over the years, Michael and I both, to create this very simple strategy and very simple set of indicators. Always designed not to make trading easy, because that's impossible, but to make it simple if you choose to follow the rules. Okay? So from 3982, trigger, right down from the published entry to the published target, from 82 to 68 at $50 a point. And we triggered again. Notice how price pulled back to the BB. It spiked the zone, but the pullback to the BBC held. It holds more often than it doesn't. That knowledge right there can give you great success. Look over here yesterday. Bullish cross, price pulled away, price pulled back to physically touch the BBC. Up close, and the market then ran from basically 4,000 to 4,050. It's 50 points. Now, understand the published target was here yesterday, as it was today. Or yesterday, I don't have the numbers right in front of me. Published target might have been here. Okay, either way. On a long alert, the final trade to target is the zone above, and on a short, it's the zone below. Okay. Our 30-minute roadmap. If price is above the BBC, the green line, bull bear cross, bullish above it, bearish below it. If our 30-minute roadmap, if price is above the BBC, then on our smaller time frame where we execute our trades, we're going to look for opportunities to be long the market. And then when price gets below the BBC, we're going to look on our smaller time frame for opportunities to be short the market. We use a 7-tick range chart in the live trading room. I personally use an 8-tick range chart. Some of our members use a 5-minute chart. Some of our members use a tick chart or another size range chart. There is no magic time frame. Pick a time frame and stay with it long enough so that the magic is your understanding of how price flows in that time frame when compared to the 30-minute roadmap, which you're looking at right now. Down here is the ETR based on the default look back period of 14 candles. The average range of one 30-minute candle is over 12 points. If you want to take a deeper look back, double click that baby. You can get it to light up. There we go. Then just scroll down here. Pick a number. How about 100? Over the last 100 30-minute candles. The average range of a 30-minute candle from the low to the high over the last 100 30-minute candles is 11 points. Now I'm going to double click it and I'm going to change it back to the default setting at 14. Why is the default setting on most indicators on most platforms 14? I honestly don't know. You may not always like what I tell you, but I'll tell you the truth as best I understand it. Now, one last thing on the ES chart, and then we're going to breeze through the rest of them. We are below the CTA. We are printing a red candle. But we have an obstacle in our path. What obstacle say ye? Well, the first obstacle was a step line. We managed to poke through that and then retreated. Red and falling, which is bearish and is an indication of lower prices. As you can see, that worked out beautifully. But once red and falling gets directly below price, like it did here, it has the potential to become support. And it did. It pushed price all the way back to the BBC. When the market finds support, it's going to go look for resistance. When it finds resistance, it's going to go look for support. The indicators serve as dynamic support and resistance, while the weekly zones serve as fixed support and resistance. Once these zones are published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, they are not changed the entire week. They're carved in stone. All right, let's go to the Dow. The Dow's a womp. Okay, see that bearish cross? What happened when price came back to it? Failed. It also hit a weekly zone. So we could consider that resistance times 2. Okay, so we poked above the zone, we poked above it, we poked above it, we poked above it, and then we couldn't poke above it. That's a clear definition of resistance. When the market opened last night, we were below the BBC, and so we came down to the short CTA. We triggered and put in a low at 474, 6 points. Will I be writing home about that? I don't think so. And then on this candle, we dropped down to 471. It's 9 points, $5 a point. Won't be writing home about that one either. Okay. Now, based upon your smaller time frame, whichever time frame you've chosen, you may have never been given a clear signal to trade this CTA. However, once price got below red and falling, overcame potential support, you had lots of room to get your goal for the day before you got to the CTA. Now we're in a unique position. We've got blue and climbing. Okay. Price is above the BBC. We're printing a red candle, but price is above the BBC. And so if I were looking for a window of opportunity on the long side, it would be right there. I've got blue and climbing, which I need. I've got price above the BBC, which I need. But I need to take out the high of this candle before I go long, knowing that the zone above has proved to be resistance 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, with a series of lower highs. High, lower high, lower high, lower high. Okay. Now, if price drops below the BBC and below blue and climbing, then I'll be looking to trade on the short side. Okay. Where's obvious support? At this low, and then this low, and then this low, and then this low. So my window of opportunity on the short side will be down here. Now once price gets below the VBC, if it does, you can use your smaller time frame to navigate all this area. I don't want you to think of this as wasted area. These are just high probability windows of opportunity based on the 30-minute roadmap. But using your smaller time frame, you can navigate, obey the rules, and find trades in this area and in this area. Okay? On to the Russell. Man in the street got hit hard. Market opened last night at the vertical line. This is the first candle. Pulled up to the BBC where it found resistance. That's what we expect. And then it traded down through the zone. And 1884 took us down to 83.60. Okay. Now it's a beautiful target on the way down, but it did not become a good entry. That happens. Here, traded down to 82.80. Still not a great entry, right? In fact, the 30-minute candle turned green and headed north. Got above the BVC, ran into the important price, important area, got rejected, pulled back to the BBC, the pullback held, got blue and climbing in the picture. Beautiful trade. From this trigger at 1894, that's the published entry, to the published target at 1902. That's 8 points, $50 a point, $400 per contract traded. On the pullback, we got to the BBC, the pullback held, and it sent us up again to resistance at the zone. Resistance, 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 resistance. Remember, these zones were issued yesterday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. So then we get a bearish cross. We come down. Now this candle was a huge red candle, okay? All the way down to here. It sliced through the zone. Only three things happen at a weekly zone. Rejection, rejection, rejection. That's the second most likely. The most likely is consolidation. Third and least likely is the slice. It's about 10% of the time. But that's what this candle did. It sliced all the way through the zone. Then when it ran out of steam, it retraced back to the zone it sliced through and then continued in the direction of the slice. See, there's no magics there. There's no secrets there. It's pure logic. The market moves in very logical ways. You simply have to gain an understanding of what that logical way looks like. And once you learn it, you'll never forget it, because it does it over and over and over again for years on end. Okay, so we come down, we trigger the short side again, and from 1884 we drop to 82.10, almost 2 points, almost $100 per contract traded. Then we got back above the trigger, found resistance at the zone, and traded all the way to the target. From the published entry to the published target. From 84 to 72. Off the top of my head, I think that's 12 points. Pretty sure. At $50 a point, $600 per contract trade. Now look what happened. We sliced through this zone. And what did price do? It retraced to the zone it sliced through and then continued in the direction of the slice. That's what I mean about the market behaving in logical manners. Okay. Now we know 20% of the time, after our best work and our best analysis, order flow will switch midstream in the middle of a trade. We know we have no power over that. So we don't whine, we don't complain, we don't lick our wounds. That's not hygienic. Okay? We just look for the next opportunity. Because this is a business based on probabilities, and we know that what we've created puts the probabilities on our side. You have to reach that point as well. Now, where should price find support? Right here. What if it doesn't? What if price trades right through red and falling and takes out that low? Then get excited. Because you've got a beautiful window of opportunity below. From 54 down to 49. $300 per contract traded. If you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, that's $3 grand. But you're not going to trade 10 contracts or get rich overnight. You're going to have to put in the work. If you're looking for an easy ride, a free ride, it's not happening here. We'll teach you what you need to know. But you won't have to work as hard as we did, because we already did it. And so you don't have to. You can try to reinvent the wheel. You know, lots of people do. Or you can take our wheel, which rolls just fine, but you've got to accept the part. This is where so many new traders really struggle. Getting stopped out. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of your trading career. It's one stinking trade. And professional traders don't bat an eye when they get stopped out, because they know it's as much a part of trading as breathing is a part of life. We'll help you get to that point. But it's going to take time. That's why we not only give you 2 hours of live training every day, but unlimited one-on-one mentoring. All you got to do is book the session. See, once you become a passport holder, you're a member for life. No recurring fees, no additional dues, no new shiny objects to buy every other week. Passport is your all-access pass to everything we do, everything we've ever done, because we've recorded and archived it all, and whatever we do in the future. Everything a trader needs, all under one roof, at one low price. People in this audience today have lost more than what a passport costs. In some cases, it's simply because they don't want to do the work. So the choice is, I continue to lose money or I do the work. If I do the work, I at least have a fighting chance. It's really up to you. We're here to help you round the clock. NQ, what do we got? Price ran right up to the target and reversed. This is where the market opens. The CTA was at 11,850, so you had lots of opportunity here to get your goal. And then once we hit 11,850, we traded down to 11,800. 11,838.50. So we'll call it 39. It's $220 per contract traded. Then we run up to the target, get rejected, get back below the BBC, blue and climbing, turns to red and falling, and we go from the published entry at 11,850 all the way to the target at 11,760. That's $1,800 per contract traded. Think about it. Oh, hang on. From 850 to 825, it's $500 per contract traded. Then we get back above the trigger, because once an alert triggers, there's a greater probability of it triggering multiple times. Then we take the ride from 850 to 760, 90 points, $20 a point, $1,800 per contract traded. And if you stick around long enough to earn the right to trade 10 contracts, that's 18 grand. But it's not going to happen overnight, and you're going to have to put in the work. Look where the market found support yesterday. Right at the zone. Where did it find resistance? At the zone. Where did it find support? At the zone. This isn't an anomaly. There's over 2,100 daily live broadcasts archived on our YouTube channel. You don't have to believe me. Go look. Scroll back. Make sure you know what you're doing before you purchase the passport. Okay? Don't jump the gun. Don't drag your feet. If you want a circus act or a parlor trick, there's lots of that stuff out there. If you actually want to learn how to trade, then the passport is probably a very good option for you. Okay. All right, real quick, we got to breeze through the rest of these. Crude oil. Here's where we opened. We ran up, blue and climbing, turned to red and falling. Took us down. We never triggered on the long side. Okay. Our first trigger at 86.15 took us down to 86.05. That's $100 per contract. Above the trigger, trigger again. Down to 85.85. $300 per contract traded. Then back above the trigger, and a wee little trigger right here. 80 bucks per contract traded. Then we rally up, but notice where price stops. Where it stopped before. Once the market establishes resistance, you should expect that to continue to be resistance until broken. So down we go again. This time from 86.15, we get down to 85, we'll call it 90. $250 per contract traded. Then we get back above the trigger right there, and we travel all the way down from the published entry to the published target. From 86.15 to 85.15, that's $1,000 per contract traded. If we were to make it all the way to 84.15, which we almost did, that's $2,000 per contract traded. When the price of crude oil moves $1 from 86 bucks to 87 bucks, that's $1,000 per contract traded. Profit or loss depending upon which side of the trade you're on. However, remember, we never recommend risking more than $300 per contract per trade, less when possible, based on market structure. And that simple 3-step process we teach all of our passport holders. We're pulling up to the BBC. We expect that to be good resistance. If in fact it it turns out to be good resistance, then we will potentially get another leg back down to the zone, which has established itself over 2 days as good support. So there's nothing to do right now. We're printing a green candle below the BBC. There's no trade there. There's a counter trend trade, but in a Logic 247 channel with over 12,400 plus individual handcrafted trade alerts, every one is a trend trade as defined by the 30-minute chart price and the 30-minute BBC. Now, don't get me wrong, counter trend trades are not illegal, immoral, or fattening. They simply don't have the same high degree of high probability, low risk as a trend trade. Learn to trade with the wind at your back, and then as you get more experienced, then you can enter the world of counter trend trading if you desire. Okay? It's a choice, and you get to make it. Silver. Here's where we opened. In silver, 2 pennies is $100. So we pulled up to the BBC, so we had all this room to get a goal for the day. Then we triggered down to 21.47. It's $200 per contract traded. And then we dropped one more time down to 21.48, $150 per contract traded. Then we got above the BBC, took off, triggered, ran all the way to the published target. From 21.94 to 22.14. That's $1,000 per contract traded. Then we got back below the BBC, came down to the target, bounced, and then triggered, making it an entry, and it took us down to 21.46. $250 per contract traded, then back above the trigger, then another $250 per contract traded. And the euro. Here's where we opened, came down to the target, got above the BBC, made a run, took us all the way to the published target. From 4,200 to 4,300. That's $125 per contract traded. To 4,400 is another $125 per contract traded. To 500 is another $125 per contract traded. Now, not all triggers are created equal. We got back below the trigger, but just above the trigger, we had red and falling, which represents resistance. And so price did the logical thing. It moved lower. And where is it finding support? At the previous bullish cross. When a bullish cross leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits the area of the bullish cross, you should expect support until broken. Okay? Which means we need to take out this low, and then we got potential support at these lows, and then this low right here, and then we trigger to the short side, and here's the published target at the zone. Back to the daily chart. Price is now below the daily step line. Remember, it was below, or it was at it, it was below it, it was above it, now it's back below it. Who's winning the battle? I'm going to let you answer that question. Okay? To get your passport, I've already explained everything. There's no recurring fees, no upsells, no nonsense. It's for life. But you got to go here. You have to intentionally go here after taking your free trial. And you have to make 2 mouse clicks to purchase your lifetime passport. Once you've purchased your passport, Valerie swings into action and provides you everything you need. All the links, platforms, indicators, the links to all the Telegram channels for the logic alerts and the CTA alerts, everything. Okay? She'll take very good care of you. And if you need to reach out to her as you're making your purchase, you can call her at 949-42-EMINI, or you can send an email to support@cfrn.net. Everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. Not just futures, individual stocks, crypto, and Forex. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. All right, we're going to wrap it up with a good word for the day, as we do. Yesterday we talked about conquering bad habits. And today we're going to talk about George Mueller's thoughts on meditation. Some people hear the word meditation and freak out. Oh, that's Eastern religion. No, I got to burn incense or put some kind of mark on my forehead, or no. The Bible, King James Version. This is meditate on my word day and night. Okay. So it's not just some hippy dippy thing kind of thing. Today, the term is more mindfulness. We tend to think of meditation as, oh, we're supposed to stare at this candle and become one with the candle, right? Or one with the lotus blossom or whatever. Mindfulness is a little bit of a different approach. Mindfulness is where you just get quiet for 5 minutes a day in the beginning. And over time, you'll grow into more time, but don't worry about that for now. Just for 5 minutes a day, sit down in a quiet space, comfortable. Don't lay down or you'll go to sleep. Trust me, I know. And don't try to control your thoughts. Don't try to still your thoughts. Don't try to become one with anything. Here's an analogy. You're standing at a busy intersection. Cars are coming and going. There goes a red truck. There goes a green Volkswagen Beetle. Okay. These are your thoughts. And from the moment your foot hits the floor in the morning till you fall asleep, your mind is constantly talking to itself. There's traffic, heavy traffic, okay? So your job as you practice mindfulness is not to judge the red truck or the green Volkswagen Beetle, but to simply be an observer. Picture yourself sitting on the street corner, observing the traffic being your thoughts. Don't try to judge the thought. Don't question where the thought came from. Just sit there peacefully and observe the thought train. I wish I could make thought train sound like soul train, but I can't. So there's a train of thoughts always flowing. Your job with mindfulness is simply to pay attention to the thought train. Don't judge it. Don't question it. Just observe it. If you'll start with 5 minutes a day, in a week, you'll find yourself wanting to do it for 10 minutes. And over time, who knows how long you spend. Now, you can't ignore your other duties in life just to find that little bit of nirvana. But it will become an important part of your life. And you will want to do it because you begin to see the benefits it provides you outside of the mindfulness state. So, who's George Mueller? Well, first let me give you the scripture. Psalm 119:47. I will delight myself in your commandments. George Mueller was a man of great faith. He rescued thousands of homeless children in England. Sometimes when they gathered at the table for supper, there was nothing to eat. So he would pray and thank God for supernatural provision. No sooner had he said amen than a baker would show up at his door with bread, or a greengrocer with vegetables, or a farmer with milk. Here's an entry from his personal journal, dated the 9th of May, 1841. This is what George Mueller wrote on May 9th, 1841. I saw more clearly than ever that the first great primary business to which I ought to attend every day was not how much I might serve the Lord, but how my inner man might be nourished. For I might seek to set the truth before the unconverted. I might seek to benefit believers, and yet not being happy in the Lord, and not being nourished and strengthened in my inner man day by day, all this might not be attended to in a right spirit. Before this time, my practice had been to give myself to prayer after having dressed myself in the morning. Now I saw that the most important thing I had to do was to give myself to the reading of the Word of God and to meditate on it, such that my heart might be comforted, encouraged, warned, reproved, instructed, and that this, by means of the Word of God, whilst meditating on it, my heart might be brought into experimental communion with the Lord. For over 40 years, Mueller walked in the power of God and saw miracles. What was his secret? Taking time each day to meditate in God's Word. And that's our good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.